Okay, so this is the start of my vlog, making a little bit of a memorial about the 7/7 bombings. It happened on July the 7th, 2005, and it's the 20th anniversary this year. And I'm going to sort of relive the way the day unfolded for me. So what you're looking at now is Pimlico telephone exchange, and get some bearings as to where we are, where this is. Okay, now we're standing in Stillington Street, and to the this is the south. This is the south here. That's my finger here, and that's Rochester Road. And parallel to here, doesn't work on this phone, is Vauxhall Bridge Road, which this bit here leads up to Vauxhall Bridge, and it sort of ends in Victoria one-way system, and it ends up going past Victoria Station and Grosvenor Place up towards our Park Corner. And I'd just come back from maternity leave in July 2005. I just had my oldest son, and I came back at the end of April, and this was in July, so I'd only been back to work for 3 months after having a year off. And that day there was me and another guy, and we were doing a job here in Pimlico, and I can't remember where it was. But anyway, I was in the exchange, and I'd finished what I was doing. This is I can't really say too much about what's inside of here, but it's basically I was working behind these windows here. And this guy I was working with, he came over, and we finished doing what we do, and he said, right, let's go and have a cup of tea in like a deli cafe place in Tachbrook Street, which is down there. And it's okay, so we walked, go out, you go, there's a corridor around there, you walk out, and you go to the front door, which is around here. So we made our way to the front entrance, which is here. This is the main entrance of the exchange, and it's the IBAS door. IBAS is the like entry system we use, and that's actually called Victoria. It was originally Victoria, but I know it's Pimlico. And so me and this other guy I was working with, we come out of there, and we made our way to the end of the road here, and we walked along here, and then as we turn a corner, that's Rochester Road, by the way, we turn the corner, and then we heard this van pull up behind us, and we looked round, and it's a guy that we both know called Owen Parker. And I'd known him for years. I worked with him when we were based on a group over in Parsons Green, and he got out the van, and we said, oh, hello Owen, how's it going? And he just looked at us, and he just shook his head and never said nothing. And we were like, you know, what's the matter? And he said, they've blown a bus up. And I'm thinking he's talking to like the police have found a package or something, and they've done like a controlled explosion, you know. That's what I'm thinking, you know, because it's not every day a bus gets blown up, yeah. And his next words to me, and I'll never forget it, was, the top's been blown off like a sardine can. And I'm still thinking it's a controlled explosion, you know. And then he's gone, there's blood everywhere, there's body parts everywhere, loads of people have been killed. And I'm still thinking the police have, you know, blown up a package. And I said, what are you talking about? I said, didn't they evacuate the bus before they blew it up? And he went, no. He went, someone's blown up a bus, a bomb, someone's blown up a bus. And I was like, what? So anyway, so he's gone on to explain, him and this other guy working in Oxford Street, and they're working down a manhole. Now, like manholes you've got to climb down into. They're not like the this one here. They're not like these ones, which are like footway boxes, but you open those up and they're only like a couple of feet deep, and you can just like work on the cables or whatever. Manholes you have to climb down into, and he's gone and he heard this explosion. And like whenever we work in the underground plant, there's we always got to test for gas. We've got a thing called a GDU we use to test for gas, because if there's a spark or someone's smoking or something and there's gas, you could just blow it, you blow up everything, massive explosion. So he's down a manhole, he's heard this explosion. He's come up, shut down. He said just about to get in the van to drive off. Next minute he said there's all these ambulance, police, sirens going off, and he's like, what's going on here? And that's when he said he went into Tachbrook Square, and that's when he saw the bus all blown up. And he said like there was like body parts everywhere, and he said the police had closed all the roads down, just turned everyone away. So him and this guy he was working with, they got in the van, and he said he come round here, and we're like, oh bloody hell, like it's terrible, because I said, things don't happen like that all the time around here. It never happens, So anyway, we said to him, we're just going over the road to have a cup of tea. You want to come with me? He said, oh no, I've got to go and do something. And I was like, oh yeah, okay. So anyway, me and this other guy, we made our way up to along there. This is Rochester Road, and this is Vauxhall Bridge Road, and Tachbrook Street is sort of like over the other side of Vauxhall Bridge Road. Yeah. Right, I'm hoping the audio on this is gonna be okay, because normally I've got the GoPro with a mic, and I have to shout quite loud over the traffic, because we're going to go to Vauxhall Bridge Road now, which is here. This is Rochester Road here, and this is Vauxhall Bridge Road, runs across here, and it's a bit busy, so I might have to start shouting. Yeah, just make our way along here. This is Vauxhall Bridge Road, and let's get in the shade. Down here, just here over the back of it is Victoria Station, and down here that leads onto Vauxhall Bridge, and I'll just nip round to Tachbrook Street. So this is Churton Street in Pimlico, and this is I don't remember what it was called, but I'm sure this was the deli cafe thing that me and this other guy came to after we left Owen Parker, and this guy who was working with, whose name I can't remember, and they just told us about the bus being blown up in Tachbrook Square. Now you got to remember the time, the date it was set, so it was 2005, so we did have the internet, but it was in its sort of infancy. It was very slow. We didn't have iPhones. We had mobile phones, but they were just used to make phone calls and texts. We didn't have what we have now, where up to the second news, and if you want to find anything out, you look on your iPhone and it's there instantly in front of you. It wasn't like that in those days. If you wanted to find out what was going on, you had to watch the telly or listen to the radio, and that's how you found out the news. Incidentally, I just forgot to mention that this is a sort of companion piece to the 9/11 memorial thing I did back in 2021. That was the 20 years anniversary for that back in 2021. And I didn't go and film anything because it was quite a big area. I was working in Chelsea and Belgravia, so I didn't really want to drive around there and film that. So I just did a little sort of mini interview to myself. I used my son's phone. Yeah, that was back in 2021 I did that. Of course, a lot's changed since then. Back then I was going for a divorce, fighting a custody battle with my ex-husband, and I was heavily on the booze. Now got me to Decree Absolute, which went my way, custody, which went my way, and I'm off the booze, and I've been dry for about 2 years now, something like that. I do have a tipple at Christmas. I do fall off the wagon at Christmas, yeah, but that's just a one-off. Anyway, let's get the bearings as to where we are. Warwick Way is here. Vauxhall Bridge Road was there, I just come from. This is, like I said, the cafe that me and this other guy went to. This is Tachbrook Street. This goes up towards Grosvenor Road and the river. And then that Grosvenor Road goes up towards Chelsea Embankment. These flats here, it's quite interesting. I always knew this is a Tachbrook Street estate, and they were council flats for years. And then I think they got sold off, privatised. And like anything that gets gentrified, they don't want to be called what it was in council flat days. So they gave themselves the pretentious title of Pimlico Village. Yeah, so that's what that's known as now, or was known as, Pimlico Village, yeah. How bloody pretentious. Anyway, so me and this other guy, getting back to the story, we walked across the road here, we went in the cafe here, and there was a woman or a bloke, I can't remember, serving, and the first thing we said to them was, oh, do you hear about that bus they'd blown up in Tavistock Square? And they're like, no, I've heard nothing about that. And this cafe has probably had about, I don't know, 20 odd people in there. And they all sort of stopped and, you know, like, what? Because don't forget, like I said, no one had iPhones in them days, so you didn't really know what was going on unless you heard it on the radio, right? And they all stopped and said, oh, what did you say? And they said, oh yeah, they're just blowing a bus up. So it was like a terrorist bomb, you know, someone's blowing themselves up. Oh, bloody hell. Like. Anyway, so we had a cup of tea and we finished that, and then we made our way back up to Vauxhall Bridge Road up here. Sort of lost my bearings a bit there. We made our way up this way because we were going back to Pimlico Exchange, and this is in this direction. And like I said, this is Warwick Way here. This is Victoria Station, like over the back here, which will have a significance later. Right, so we made our way along here, and this is Vauxhall Bridge Road here, and the nearer I get, the noisier it's going to get traffic. So we walked up here. Now Vauxhall Bridge Road is like really busy with traffic, more busy than it is now, because now we've got the congestion zone. I think we did have it back then, but we've got congestion zone in ULEZ, which is, you know, it's limited the traffic up here, so it's a lot quieter and a lot less busy than it was back then. And we've come here, me and this guy I was working with, and the road was empty, no traffic, and you know, I'd never seen Vauxhall Bridge Road with no traffic. It was like really busy. Even when I used to do call out at nights, and I used to drive up and down here like 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, there was always traffic, like night buses and everything. And I was like, you know, we were saying there, what's going on, you know? And the pavements, like this side of the road, and this side of the road here, and that side of the road, there was literally, it looked like something out of some disaster movie. There was thousands and hundreds of thousands of people walking along here up towards Vauxhall Bridge. There was shitloads of them. There was like heaving, the pavement was heaving with people all walking. Thousands. And like, you know, me and this other guy, obviously we've got a BT uniform when they see us, and they're all coming up to us saying, where are we? We don't know where we are, where are we? And we're like, well, you're in Vauxhall Bridge Road, mate. And, oh, where do I get, I've got to go to South, how do I get? So we said, you know, we said to one guy, what's going on? Where you going? And he said, they're evacuating the tubes. The whole network is being evacuated. And they were running everything into Victoria Station, like I said, which is down the end of this road here. They run all the tubers. I don't know if it's all the tubers, but that's the impression I got at the time. Don't forget, it was like 20 years ago. They were running everything into Victoria Station and evacuating the tube network, and they were getting everyone off, and the coppers were sending everyone down Vauxhall Bridge Road, and there was like thousands of people, and they were all like saying, where are we, how do I get to so-and-so? And of course later on we found out that the police were stopping all the traffic at Vauxhall Bridge Road. Nothing was coming in. They were letting people out, but nothing was coming in. They'd sealed the whole area. The whole area was sealed. They weren't letting any buses. All the buses were stopped. Traffic stopped, everything. And of course, by this time, we found out they'd let the bombs off on the tube. They said, oh, the people walking past said, oh, they've bombed about 4 or 5 tubes. And we're like, fucking, you're kidding me. And they're like, no, that's why they're evacuating all the network. And I mean, you can understand how many people use a tube in the morning, millions. And they were all being evacuated at Victoria Station. They might have been evacuating other sites, I don't know, but I'm going on my memories of 20 years ago. A lot of the lines were evacuated here, yeah. So imagine how busy it was in the rush hour. So anyway, obviously we knew about the bus, we knew about the tube, so we goes, well, what do we do now? You know, there was no traffic on the roads. So I thought I'd better make our way back to Pimlico Exchange, which is what we did. So we made our way back into the Exchange and we went into what we call the test room, which is where we all used to meet up and get our work and have a chat and whatnot. And of course we got in there and the Frames guys, the Exchange guys were in there, and I don't think they knew anything about it, because they were all busy doing their work and whatnot. And like I said, they didn't have iPhones in those days, and so we said, look, you hear about they've blown a bus up and they've blown like 4 or 5 tubes up. Oh, fucking hell, no, you know. So we didn't want to do it. I said, I think the police have shut all the roads down. They're not letting anything in. So I thought, let's get on the phone to the works control and find out what we do. And I've picked a landline up, no dial tone. Looked at our mobile phones, no signal. So we were like stuck in here, couldn't speak to anyone, couldn't contact anyone. So like, you know, what do we do? Now, I know you're thinking, like, oh, the landlines were down, the mobile phone signal was down. I suppose you're thinking, oh, there's some big brother figure in some command centre who switched off all the phone lines. Well, that's not the case. What it was everyone was trying to use the landlines, and it went into like a meltdown. There's only a certain number of lines leaving the Exchange. So everyone uses the same time, it goes into a meltdown. Same with the mobile phones. If there's only a certain number of cells on the nearest mobile phone mast, if everyone's using those cells, it goes in, like, you just look, there's no signal. And that's what happened. Everyone was trying to phone everyone, and everything had gone into a meltdown. So we didn't know what to do. You know, I don't think we're in a telephone exchange. You know, it's a prime target. They're blowing up buses, tubes. What are they going to start next? So they're going to blow up the telephone exchange. So anyway, a couple of guys come out here, they come out for a fag, so we come out with them and we're standing outside. So what do? What do we stand outside? We stand inside. We're sort of debating what to do. And as we're standing there chatting and debating about what to do, I've sort of remembered this phone that was in the bit where we work here, called the frame bit where we work, and there was a number there, an out of area number, an OOA. Now I'm not going into how that works, but it's slightly different technology than just a normal landline, and it was a Ken Gardens number. And Ken Gardens is a small exchange just over the back of Kensington High Street, and it feeds quite a small area, and it was quite out of the way to where everything was happening. So I thought, oh, maybe that's got dial tone on it. So I've gone back on the frame, picked up the receiver, and it had dial tone. I thought, oh, thank fuck for that. First thing I did was get on the phone to our control, which was up in Dartford. And I got through to them, and they're like, what's going on? We can't find anyone. No one's answering their phones. I said, nah. I said, the signal's down. And they said, oh, well, they've called the vans off the road. Whatever you're doing, go to your nearest exchange, park up off the road, yeah? Now, in 35 years of working for this company, I was made redundant last year. In 35 years, they called the vans off the road 3 times, in my knowledge. And the first time was the first year I joined BT, I was still an apprentice. It snowed heavily, and they called the vans off the road for inclement weather. Second time was 9/11. 9/11, they called the vans off the road. And this was the third time, the 7/7 bombings. They called the vans off. And it's got to be something really, really major for BT to call the vans off the road, because we keep working. we have appointments to meet. the hamster wheels running, you know. I mean, I worked all through the lockdown. I worked every day throughout the lockdown. We kept going. We were declared key workers. Yeah. So anyway, they said, yeah, the van's off the road. It's okay. So first thing I thought of was I was going to find my husband, because my husband was at home with our year-old baby, because I just come back from maternity leave, and he was looking after him. And I got on the phone and he said, oh, have you heard about all these shoes? I've got it on the news here. They're putting up a load of shoes. They're putting up a bus. I said, yeah, I know. And he knew Owen Parker, because I said, yeah, I just spoke to Owen Parker. He said he saw the bus blown up and everything. And I said, just to let you know, I'm safe. I'm in Pimlico Exchange, I'm safe. And okay, so I put the phone down, turned around, there's like about 20 blokes queued up behind me. They said, oh, can we use our phone off? We've got no signal on our phones. So I said, yeah. So anyway, zip forward. Got to about 4:30. And they, by this time, all the mobile phone signal was up, the landlines were all up and running, and they said, go home, that's it, we call it a day, everyone just leave the area and go home. So eventually I got home, and yeah, and that was my memories of 7/7 bombing. Really, really scary. As I say, I didn't witness any of it. I wasn't on a tube. So I had the van. I didn't get public transport, so I drove the van up every day. Yeah, and you know, I don't know what they were trying to achieve, these idiots. You know, I think there's about 4 blokes involved, I don't know, 5 blokes involved. And before I come up here, I did a little bit of research online, and these guys that were these suicide bombers, I don't know, I never even heard of any of them, you know. I don't know whether they were doing it for notoriety or what, or I never heard of them. So yeah, they didn't achieve that, did they? Fucking idiots. You know, and I've read that they weren't from London, from some, I don't know, bloody provincial Middle England town in the middle of nowhere. They never are from London, are they? Those of us that live here, that want to live, work here, those of us like me, born and bred here, always lived and worked here all my life, we don't want to blow it up. We love living here, yeah? We've chosen to live here. And you know, we're a diverse community, lots of different races, religions, ethnicities, sexual orientation. Nobody cares. Everyone gets on, everyone tolerates each other. We all work hard, we all pay our taxes, you know, and that's it. And there's people from outside London that really winds them up for some reason, and they try to attack us. They try to attack the fact that we're so diverse, we're so tolerant, we should all get on together. They don't like that. But they didn't succeed, because we just kept going, and they didn't destroy us. You know, the Nazis tried to destroy us. They tried to bomb the fuck out of us. We stood up to them. We stood firm. We stood shoulder to shoulder, and we defeated the bastards. And the same with these morons that came down here and thought they could blow up our transport system, scare us. What did they think we were going to do? All fall over? No, we didn't. We stood firm. We stood up to them, and we're all still here. As I say, this is Pimlico Exchange. Yeah, this is where it all unfolded. I spent 20 years working on this area. I know it like the back of my hands, the West End, and yeah, very emotional coming up here again and seeing all these places I worked in. Yeah, well, there we go. That's it. That's my memories of 7th of July 2005. Okay, that's it.